So ever since the inauguration of William Ruto, the nation has been treated to a barrage of a lot of over dramatization of Christianity. And this is concerning because um, history is littered with nations or kingdoms that degenerated or disintegrated, or rather faced annihilation as a result of this kind of mentality of the state or the system trying to elevate one religion as superior to the rest. Folks, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel or click the notification bell so that you get notified whenever I post new videos. The element of separation of church and state is a well-established and well-codified doctrine, not just within the Kenyan constitution, but also around the world. For the United States, it dates back to as far as 1791, when the founders, in their wisdom and having watched how Europe was disintegrating and facing annihilation as a result of religious fundamentalism. And so they decided to introduce the First Amendment. That was like the very first amendment to the Constitution, that after trying out the nation from 1776 up to 1791, they saw a lot of obsession with Christianity, or rather religion. And so they decided, hey, this is not going to end well. And having seen what was happening in Europe, they decided that it was time to separate church from the state. It doesn't mean that they did not love God. Pushing for religious freedom does not mean that you don't love God. It just means that you respect other people's religions. Because Christianity itself, if you're a Christian, has at some point faced annihilation because other religions crusaded, or rather fought Christianity and almost brought it into non-existence. And so what you're doing today can be in future done to you. And so this is why we try to push for these kind of principles. If I did not believe in reducing the powers of the presidency as I was growing up, which I did because I was an avid reader of the newspaper, if I did not believe in that, and I'm worried about Ruto degenerating into a dictatorship, I would be regretting today. But I know that he's limited by the Constitution. There's things he can do, and there are those that he cannot do. And within 10 years, there's only so much that he can do. As much as I am a Christian, I coexist with Muslims, I coexist with Hindus, and I have to respect their right to existence, right to worship, because if I don't, tomorrow they may be holding that, they may be at that position of power, and they'll remind me that when I was in power, I undermined their existence. And so if I was having an altar, a Christian, I made State House a matter of Christianity and stuff like that, of a dramatization of Christianity, they'll make State House a matter of over dramatization of Islam. And then we won't have a nation because every religion will be trying to dominate the other. And so we as a nation have to realize that just because we are on top doesn't mean that we will always be on top. So we have to respect other religions, and our Constitution already takes care of that. And all we need is to uphold the Constitution. So I've just talked about the consequences. The consequences is national disintegration, as was happening in Europe. The other consequence is radicalization of of folks who feel that their religion is being marginalized. And when people are radicalized, they tend to cling to the bad verses within their religion. If you're a Christian, then you go for those verses that talk of eye for an eye, and if you're a Muslim, then they also have their own verses in the Quran, and so you have people who get radicalized and they are looking for the justification of violence, within their respective religions. Even Hindus have their own issues in India. So every religion has to always know that even though we hold the majoritarian position, and we control the levers of power, you will not always remain holding the levers of power. And the survival of each of the religions, including yours, is dependent on the respect that exists between those religions. And so we have to maintain that culture of respecting each other. Even among tribes, I am a Luo, and, Luos have their own practices. If Kikuyus, or rather Luyas or Kisis, decided that they feel offended and they want me to stop my Luo practices, then there'll be some kind of fight. So they cannot impose their own culture on me, and so I should not impose my culture on them. And as I conclude, let me say this, that if Ruto insists on pushing for over dramatization of Christianity, the best thing that he should do is to go by the 10 Commandments then. He should, and the 10 Commandments, everybody would be very happy if Ruto followed the 10 Commandments. And what that means is that in his cabinet, he should not have people who steal, okay? Because one of the 10 Commandments is do not steal. As we have it right now, a handful of folks in his cabinet have active cases, and some have actually been indicted, for theft of public resources. Another command, do not kill. Within his recent nominees are folks who are currently having active cases of murder charges. In between his term, they are likely to be convicted of murders and probably be sent to the gallows or life in prison. I'm not saying they did this, but there is a chance that they did it. The fact that they are being prosecuted, there is a chance that they could be convicted, if the judges find them guilty, or rather culpable. And so we may end up with a situation where a cabinet secretary has to resign because he has to go serve a jail sentence. That's not really good for a nascent nation like ours. And so Ruto knows better. He has to stick to the 10 Commandments. He has to inculcate a culture of obeying and respecting the rule of law, which are pretty much in sync with the 10 Commandments. If people have stolen, the only way for them to redeem themselves, he can say, I'm going to have clemency, that if I've named you as a cabinet secretary nominee, then return graveyards that you have stolen. The Makaburi land that you have stolen in the past, return it. I will forgive you. I'll give you clemency, and then I'll appoint you into my government. I mean, he can say that. It's all about the 10 Commandments. If Ruto wants to run the nation on Christian values, it will be good for all of us, But what I'm saying is that do not abrogate the rights of religion. Religious freedoms is a principle that he should not abrogate. But if he finds that that's the best way he wants to run the nation, then just follow the 10 commandments and people will be happy. It means do not steal, do not kill. And I mean, if in a nation where the 10 commandments are being followed, it means that chapter 6 is also being followed, because those two chapters, I mean, those two concepts of the 10 commandments and chapter 6 are very much in sync. Actually, chapter 6 is pretty much a codification of the 10 commandments and vice versa. They are summaries of each other. Okay, folks, thank you so much. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe, and I look forward to engaging you much more as we go into the future. Thank you, guys.